What's up? It is your boy, the red dreaded one, Akasan, here to entertain you just a little bit with a little bit of story. I'm going to go ahead and get to this really soon. But before that, I was sort of thinking about how I was going to address this. And I started just thinking about something I wrote about 5 months ago or so, and I thought it'd actually be kind of a good way, instead of making a very long video, to kind of give you sort of a prequel, so to speak. Because I thought it'd be an interesting story. I've been waiting for this for about 5 6 months, for some time. I've been waiting for it, maybe for about a year now. I've been waiting and expecting something like this to happen. So before that, I did have this story I wanted to tell you. So about 2 3 years ago, I used to be part of this community forum that was all about Batman and such, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to share with my friends my reaction to, I believe it was the Thor 2 Dark World trailer or something like that. And I did kind of a funny sort of reaction to it and such, and I started sharing it on YouTube. Or I actually shared it on Facebook, but then I got blocked from Facebook because of copyright material and such. So then I ended up putting things up on YouTube and linking it to my group on Facebook. And it was just kind of a way to just stay connected to everyone. It was this particular Batman group I've been part of for almost 8 years now, I think. And the main reason I did it was part of that group is, as the majority of you know, I live in Japan, and people don't talk about this kind of stuff. People, fans of things don't have that sort of group, not until recently, but it's certainly not the same thing, and you don't really talk about movies on a daily basis, not until recently. Some of my students do. Anyways, it was a great time to sort of put these things up on YouTube to link to my friends in this group, but then I started noticing the outside people. Just people started subscribing to this stuff, to my generally this was a J-vlogging channel, and I just sort of talked about a lot of things. I did this one viral video and such, and I had a good amount of people. So a lot of my fans were like, oh snap, you're back, you got some stuff for us. So I started getting into that a little bit more and doing these reaction videos every once in a while, once a week or so. And later down the line, it was really fun. It was fun to do. At this time, I wasn't even doing a picture-in-picture or whatever. I didn't even think you could do something like that. And it was just really fun. And then one day, I was contacted, I believe, by Adik the One. It was this was a long time ago, and he was just letting me know that there was he wanted to get my permission to make sure he could use my reaction as part of this collaboration sort of deal. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, like the Avengers. He was like, there's others out there. I'm like, are you serious? And so I started getting into seeing these collaborations, and one of the first ones I ever saw was a beautiful one by somebody by the name of Speak Preview, I believe. And that's actually where I was introduced to Tyrone Magnus, the Epic Reactor, I believe that's what his name was called. No, the Epic Gamer, and I think he changed his name to Epic Reactor. Chainsaw Reacts, a few other people, I think Danny as well. And it was through this time, before Adik really was blowing up, there was Speak Preview and someone by the name of Blake Dell, and they did these fantastic reactions. If you ever get a chance, and if you really want to see it, I keep on telling Adik that he needs to do this himself, but I know it takes a lot of time. I highly recommend you go ahead and take a look at some of the work that Speak Preview has done in the past. Unfortunately, he retired from doing that sort of stuff, but this was my introduction, into the Reactor-verse, essentially. This is how I realized that there were other people out there like me, that there were other fans out there like me, and we were all reacting to these great trailers and all these like fandom type things, and it was pretty cool. And I got this idea an idea came into my mind. What if, since there's just a bunch of us, and I believe it was right around the time of the Avengers, so it's kind of inspired, what if I got a bunch of them together and we just had some sort of group chat or something and just kind of talked about it, because it seems like we have a bunch of shared interests and such. And that was how it all sort of began, with me sending an email or a message to Gator Martin for the first time ever, about 2 years ago, I believe, and asking him if he was interested with this sort of idea. And I went and I asked my subs who did they think would be cool to collaborate with, and most of the people replied Gator Martin, Tyrone Magnus, and Ryan Wright, or the Real Rejects. And this is what was the fans considered myself and the rest of these three at that time, especially at that time. We were considered the big four here, and it was an honor. It was an honor to have that name. It was kind of interesting to have that name. But I went ahead and I collaborated and I got everybody together for this group chat called the Reactor Rumble, I believe, and people really enjoyed it. It looked like the fans were really getting into it. Reactions were starting to really take off. And this was right around the time that the Star Wars trailer dropped. Obviously, you guys all know the infamous Star Wars trailer, the one that made Tyrone Magnus a household name. And from that point on, reaction videos became a huge, widely successful thing for everybody to sort of get into. And at this point, it was still fans reacting to fan stuff, and you could just see the fan reaction. And that's what people were kind of getting off on. There were also people doing television reactions as well. It took a little longer. At that time, we didn't actually put the TV in the TV, so we just generally just did the audio until WB got wise and started blocking everybody's audio and such. And we had to, well, if you were still around, if you still hung in there, you could edit it up and still keep your channel up to date and such. But it was a fun time at that time to do all of that, and to still have all these fans, sharing their emphasis on fandom and what they enjoyed. And then later, I couldn't get Tyrone or Ryan to jump in on the Reactor Mania. And I remember the Reactor Mania because specifically it was myself, Danny, Trailer Reactions at the time, Chainsaw Reacts, the Epic Gamer. I think JB was in there as well, or JG Georgie. I really miss his work because he really put a lot of work into his stuff. And it was cool. It wasn't any sort of group or anything. It was just, this is it. And then later, I was inspired by WrestleMania coming up, because Reactor Rumble later goes into Reactor Mania, or Reactor Royal Rumble goes into WrestleMania. All right. So I decided to do something called the Reactor Mania, and by that time, Ryan was on board with it. We hosted it on his channel. I believe Tyrone couldn't make it that day, and I remember this specifically because that was when I quote unquote called out Tyrone. That's when you could actually make like a diss video as a parody, and people didn't get all pissed off or whatever. People recognized it for what it was, and it was a really funny video. I mean, it was. I knew specifically I needed to do something really funny to really up Tyrone's alley to get his attention, because he was so big at that time. At that time, 90,000 subscribers was a huge deal at that time, and it was great. I mean, he reacted to it, and I blew up just a little bit after that. And people started talking, all of us together. I got in contact with Tyrone, and it created a pretty nice friendship. I believe, between myself, Ryan, and Tyrone. Gator, I would occasionally talk to, but it was just very difficult for me to, or for us to kind of really talk. I actually recently just talked to him. It was the day after all of us met up in Los Angeles, and I was trying to get Gator to get on the phone with us while all three of us were in LA, but it didn't happen. But it was still really good to talk to my man for just a little while about his life, how things are going with his acting school and all that. It was a good time. It was a wonderful time for me. And just like that Facebook page I was part of so long ago, my YouTube channel had gone from being a J-vlogging, viral sort of video type stuff, doing little parodies every once in a while, into a reaction channel. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know. It was quite a stressful time. I still remember back then, because I had an audience that was generally just interested in my vlogging or living in Japan and such, and I had inspiration from other very, very popular J vloggers like Gimme a Break Man, Gimme a Flake Man, Unrested, Charla, Rachel and June, all of them. And you know, it's still an honor that I was even able to still work with them even now. However, there was that huge demand of reaction videos, and I really enjoyed it at the same time, because just like that Facebook page, I had fans. I had fans and supporters that really enjoyed talking about TV shows, really enjoyed talking about upcoming movies and such, and it wasn't as opinionated back in the day. Of course, by all means, I might have just set myself up for disaster back in the day when I used to say, until the Batman v Superman comes out, I will keep my reactions honest. But overall, it was interesting. It was a very nice time, and there were new cats coming up. There were new people coming in and doing different types of reactions, and certainly at that time I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, and then it really started to get a bit out of hand, and that, I guess, it all really kind of came to a head of really being not just a difference of opinion in terms of what type of reactions you can do, but essentially a more of a moral legality sort of reason that of what type of reactions you can do, taking stuff from content creators. It went from not just being TV stuff and trailers, which the studios were fine with, but then taking stuff from YouTubers, actual big YouTubers, and reacting to that. And that's when I guess it all sort of came to a head when this video dropped.
Reaction videos! Reaction videos are the absolute fucking worst content on this site, right?
The Reactor-verse, or the Reactor universe itself, was just flipped upside down. Now, there had been hints that people had a displeasure in reaction videos. Previously, I had noticed a few people actually make some pretty in-depth comments on Ryan's channel, on Tyrone's channel, about how they felt that people shouldn't be making money off these reaction videos. And at that time, none of us, well, besides Tyrone and Ryan, essentially from the people that I were watching, were making a lot of money, or even substantial, like getting very, very popular off of that sort of format. And you know, it sort of got to me in the beginning. It sort of got to me even early on, and I started changing my description and at least putting the link to the original video as the first thing. And I noticed that Tyrone finally started to do it after a while, but it wasn't really until this grade A video dropped that I started realizing that he was right. He was right about not everything, not just everything, but enough of the fair use situation. He made a very good point and a very good case. And I think the main thing that stuck out for me was
I bet you if I silently reacted to Ariana Grande or Beyonce's music video or something, I bet it'd get taken down in a second. Also, if I did that with a movie or something, boom, I'm gone straight away. Same thing, right? But if I do it to a YouTuber's videos...
For me, that's kind of what changed my opinion on the situation. It is unfair for, you know, the content creators, the original content creators, to have their stuff taken without getting permission or anything and then react to it. And there had to be some sort of middle line grounding or something like that. You know, I was assaulted in that video, but I contacted Grade A and we talked and we worked it out. And for the most part, we have somewhat of a... Many don't know this, but he actually was, maybe still is, a fan of the weekly Wednesday What's Up, and even asked to use my video for his Nicole Arbor segment.
If you were funny, you would be able to do well without showing your tits and your good looks.
How stupid do I look? Don't answer that. There are no fucking skeletons.
I was staring at her tits.
Because, let's be honest, right?
If you would so allow me, I want to read something to you guys that I wrote about 5-6 months ago or so, and I'll sort of paraphrase it and such. Here's what I wrote on my Facebook page. It was like, for those of you that haven't seen my countless videos on the subject, I don't agree with stealing or bootlegging others people's content and making a reaction that adds nothing more. If you get permission, went out of your way to contact following parties or get claimed by a studio, it's fine. I agree with what most of what Grade A, Under A, and IDA everything had to say. I completely understand how much of a gut punch a creator will feel to see months, years of work get swiped by another channel. Grade A's videos made me rethink my process. IDA everything and the term reactionist made other channels rethink theirs. I was actually talking about, I think, Ryan Wright at the time, because he watched those videos and he was like, okay, yeah, you know what? I need to clean up my act as well. So, and of course, people ask, why do I care what other channels do? That's this time. I believe it or not, I make original content at times. 2, it's morally wrong. And 3, it does affect the future of my channel. So, and then I make some talk about the law-abiding Muslims and things like that, which you've probably heard recently. Anyways, and you know, at that time, I certainly think at that time, it was something special. Like, as I always said, my channel, as I always say, my channel is an extension of my own personality. It's everything to me. It's like a child to me. 1 year ago, I was sleeping on floors. After the big announcement, sleeping in like home, like still getting videos up at 2 a.m. in the morning, siphoning off people's Wi-Fi just to have some videos up for you guys. So the channel meant everything to me. At that time, about 5-6 months ago, reaction channels were really, the copyright system was coming down hard for everybody, and my MCN was preparing me for the worst, to have things taken away and such. So it was panic mode at that time. Where does the future of the Reactor-verse lie? I don't know. I have no idea. But a really good subscriber of mine actually mentioned something yesterday, I believe, or the day before, and he just said, you know, it's good that I have honor and try to do the moral thing, but this system was designed to be broken. The system was designed to be utilized by opportunists and such. And it made me think for just a bit. It made me think about where myself, Adik, Tyrone, all of us had started and where the fandom had started. And the format was there, but like the subscriber said, the opportunity was there as well for people that wanted to do the type of reaction videos they did. And I thought about that long and hard for like quite some time a few days ago, and I just realized, you know what, it's true. If the opportunity is there, and you know what they say, if the opportunity is there, take it. I know that there are 2 different worlds of reactions now. There's 2 different type of reactors out there now, and I know that if, again, opportunity is there, you might as well take it at this point. But I will miss what once was had 2 years ago, but being a realist, you do have to realize sometimes that change is inevitable, and the system was designed for that sort of change. I hope things will work out in the future. I don't know where the Reactor-verse is headed now. I do know that there are two sides, but hopefully it is my hope that people will at least start to see a little bit more of the difference between the two. And if not, maybe that's just the way it will always be.